This is how Jin Ping Mei is read chapter 33. The embroidery version. Chen Jingji loses the key and is punished by singing, and Han Daoguo lets his wife compete for the lead the storybook. Chen Jingji loses the key and is punished by singing, and Han Daoguo lets the woman compete for the lead. 1. The appearance of Han Daoguo. This time, Simon King's official career continues to take off. His business is further expanded, and his life circle is further expanded. A new associate, Han Daoguo, appears on the scene. Han Daoguo is an important supporting role in The Golden Lotus. Although he doesn't have many roles, he is rich in content. If the Wu family of Wu Da, Wu Song, and Pan Jinlian are important backgrounds outside the Simon family, then the Han family of Han Daoguo, his younger brother Honor, and his wife Wang Liuer are the perfect foil for the Wu family. This point will be analyzed in detail later. The appearance of Han Daoguo began with He Guanren. Who is this He Guanren? He Guan was engaged in wool trading and his native place was Huzhou. At the end of chapter 100, Han Daoguo and Wang Liuer followed He Guanren to live in Huzhou. Later, Han Daoguo and He Guanren died one after another, and Wang Liuer inherited all the family property of He Guanren and lived in Huzhou until his death. In other words, this character is the final direction of the story. Of course, we understand that those in Huzhou are making nonsense, and those who are making nonsense are the words of Jia Yukin. So, how did the author use He Guanren to lead Han Daoguo? The matter was simple, because He Guanren had a batch of silk goods on hand and was anxious to get rid of them, so he asked Count Ying for help. Count Ying persuaded Simon King to stock up and sell them, and recommended Han Daoguo to be the shopkeeper and open a yarn shop. Just like in A Dream of Red Mansions, Jia Yukin, who was also a Huzhou native, was dismissed from office and became a tutor in the Lin family, which led to Lin Daiyu. With the help of Lin Daiyu's father and the official of the Jia family, he was reinstated. The trial of the Calabash Temple case led to Zhu Pen and Zhu Baochai. Classic novels. This technique is often used when ranging characters, using a seemingly unimportant supporting character from a distance, and slowly focusing the camera on the main character. On the one hand, this avoids the abrupt feeling of going straight into the story, and on the other hand, it also makes the story more interesting. It seems to have more origins, and the seemingly unimportant supporting role is often given special connotation through some deliberate arrangements, which enriches the theme of the work to a greater extent. Click on He Guanren and let's take a look at what kind of person this new Han Daoguo is. Han Daoguo, whose courtesy name is Xiao, lives in Niubi Alley with the name of Tao. He hoped that his son would succeed Yao, but unfortunately he turned out to be Niubi. The irony is beyond words. In response to the Earl's recommendation, he is good at writing and calculating, and his behavior is correct. Simon King's perspective. He is short in stature, in his 30s, talkative, and has a cheerful face. The author's evaluation. His human nature is unrealistic. His words are exaggerated. He is clever with words and colors, and he is good at talking. Asking people for money is like catching a shadow in the wind. Defrauding people of money is like picking something out of a bag. Now the question is, which of these evaluations are correct? In other words, how do we view the evaluation of characters between authors and characters in classical novels? In fact, modern novels have abandoned the practice of authors directly entering the text to evaluate characters. Evaluations, such as sexual nature, is illusory and floating, should be metaphorized in the character story, and wait for readers to discover it themselves. It seems too overbearing for the author to directly define it, suspected of insulting the reader's intelligence. However, the author of classical novels does not have such writing consciousness, or his readers themselves do not have that much literary consciousness. So everyone can accept this approach of the author directly defining it. Therefore, as an omniscient and omnipotent narrator, the established personalities and characteristics of the characters he gives are all part of the rules of the game, just like the setting of Bao Dai's love affair with wood and stone in A Dream of Red Mansions, which are both credible, and you must believe that just because Lin Daiyu loves to cry You cannot be disgusted with this character. Mushi King Yuan wants her to return tears. Therefore, a large part of Han Daoguo's text in this chapter is to prove the author's conclusion that the nature of nature is false. So, what does the description of Earl Ying and Simon King mean? For the evaluation between characters in the story, we cannot jump out of the scope of the characters themselves. Because readers know more than the characters, so readers cannot despise the cognitive level of the characters. Conversely, when we write, even if we are omniscient and omnipotent, we must be careful not to make the character omniscient and omnipotent. He must only care about those issues that he cares about. From this perspective, let's look at the perceptions of Earl Ying and Simon King. Earl Ying plays an intermediary role in this relationship. The intermediary's goal is to facilitate the transaction and earn intermediary fees. In this case, it is natural to describe the object in a flowery and exciting way. This is not difficult for Earl Ying. He described it very realistically and did not lie at all. Excellent in writing and calculating refers to business ability, and behaving upright refers to trustworthiness. Indeed, in Simon King's business empire, Han Daoguo, his business ability and professionalism are impeccable. From Simon King's perspective, what we see is his appearance, which is in line with the habit of judging people by their appearance. Short stature is the first sense, which is a good thing for women. But the opposite for men. Men must be strong and powerful. Zhang Zhushan's short stature is despised, but talking loudly and having a spring breeze on his face is a must-have for a businessman. Business EQ. It can be said that this characteristic is enough to make up for the shortcomings of his appearance. Taken together, what Earl Ying recommended was Han Daoguo's software strength, while Simon King saw Han Daoguo's hardware attributes, judging from the following. A subordinate who can manage the business very well. A subordinate who is even willing to share the same interests with his wife and the boss. Can you ask for anything better? During Simon King's lifetime, Han Daoguo was definitely considered a useful and trustworthy person. As for other shortcomings, Simon King had nothing to do with him. Like Cao Gong, he only needed to appoint people based on their talents. 2. Wang Liuer's appearance. Wang Liuer finally appeared on the stage. This is a much more important role than Han Daoguo. We have mentioned it many times before. Now we take a closer look at what kind of person she is. The king of slaughtering animals, Tu Meizi, is the sixth child. She has a long body, a skin with melon seeds, and a purple chest. She is about 89 years old. There is a girl beside her, and the three of them are living together. Wang Liuer's background was not too poor, but he was extremely wealthy. He is tall, dark, and basically ugly. There is a daughter who is almost of marriageable age, many years earlier than a group of wives and concubines in the Simon family who married late and had children. These are the basic elements of Wang Liuer. They have no special connotation, but they become interesting when they are associated with other events. We will discuss this later. The way Wang Liuer entered the audience's sight was quite awkward, because she has similar hobbies as Pan Jinlian back then: put on makeup and powder, dress up in various ways, and often stand at the door to stare at people, which not only seduces some market scoundrels, but also makes people scold. The key is that he also behaves badly. He has an affair with his brother-in-law Honor, so these market scoundrels took advantage of Honor and Wang Liuer's affair, and tied them up half-naked and took them to the street, causing a sensation in the streets. When someone told Han Daoguo was still bragging about how Simon King reused him, and he was shocked. He just smacked his lips and stamped his feet, and hurriedly ran home. This story ends here, let alone the aftermath. From Han Daoguo's point of view, his uncle and sister-in-law committed adultery and were paraded in public in broad daylight. It is simply a great shame for a man, right? However, what is very strange is that, regardless of the lyrics or the portraits, the title of this chapter is Han Daoguo's Young Women's Struggle. Indulgent woman means blaming Han Daoguo, but it was clearly Honor Wang Liuer who took the initiative to commit incest. What was Han Daoguo's fault compared to the big festival of incest? What's wrong with Han Daoguo's bragging? Besides, Pan Jinlian repeatedly seduced Wu Song right under the nose of Wuhan University, and Wuhan University didn't care. Why didn't he just indulge her? After all, Han Daoguo has a serious career, and Honor is just a rogue in the market. If Han Daoguo wants to control him, how could he not control his younger brother? What is the reason for his indulgence? The only explanation is that Han Daoguo is not a victim at all. In other words, Han Daoguo deliberately provided an opportunity for incest to his brother, also deliberately provided a possibility of selling himself to his wife for the sake of a better life and profit. This can only be understood by carefully reading the following story, after some self-righteous ridicule and complacency, and by thinking calmly, because Han Daoguo never thought about punishing or retaliating against his younger brother, but instead tried his best to save them, and acted like nothing happened afterwards. This is far from being explained by ordinary face, dignity, etc. This is probably a kind of distribution of benefits between brothers, right? Although this kind of generosity is a bit unbelievable, there are real cases in real life, in areas with very difficult economic conditions, and a serious imbalance in the ratio of men to women. There really are situations where brothers marry a woman. The ancients are honest and do not deceive me. In fact, in the text of Jin Ping Mei, when the author describes Han Daoguo, Wang Liuer and even Honor, his writing style is always indifferent, and there is no cold emotion in the narrative. In my opinion, this probably expresses a folk position that all values, such as morality and ethics, must be ranked behind the two most basic values, which are individual survival and primitive desires. Although moralists may accuse them of being humane pigs and dogs, however, these are the basic reasons why humans are human. Those martyrs who died for morality are certainly worthy of praise, but not everyone must follow their example. No one has the right to accuse others of their harmless survival and desires. History books will remember those who were vigorous and shining, but the real history is written by those who did everything possible to live unyieldingly, even if they were confused. Many characters and stories in Jin Ping Mei are hidden behind the superficial prosperity and noise, just like the real history of our folk, which is extremely difficult but continues to struggle forward as always. 3. The connotation of punishment singing. As an important subplot behind the big story of Jin Ping Mei, the underground love affair between Chen Jingji and Pan Jinlian deepened with Simon King's prosperity. 28 chapters of a double entendre. Chen Jingji was lucky enough to get a golden lotus, and a substantial exchange of tokens have already shown that the relationship between the two has been officially established, so the next step should naturally be from form to content, from language to body. Therefore, for a pornographic book like Jin Ping Mei, we should eagerly seize the opportunity of fiery sexual descriptions. However, a genius author is by no means a lascivious author. When the topic seems to come, he turns his pen and writes about an affair in another sense. In front of Li Pinger and Grandma Pan, Pan Jinlian seduced Chen Jingji, drank, teased, and hid the key. All these seemingly ordinary narratives were for the final climax, the punishment singing. After drinking 2 glasses of wine, Chen Jingji left in a hurry and left his work key on the wine table, which was hidden by the sharp-eyed Pan Jinlian. Another customer was eager to ask him to take the key to get something, so he was forced to face Pan Jinlian, threats and punishments. Indeed, Chen Jingji was anxious to get the key back. He didn't have any other spare keys. But was it possible for him to avoid the penalty? No. If Simon King comes back, the consequences of the whole thing will be unimaginable. If we start from the beginning with Chen Jingji, Pan Jinlian is almost innocent because she has an excellent accomplice next to her, Li Pinger. Therefore, he had to endure the insult and accept the penalty, singing in front of Li Pinger, Grandma Pan, Chen Mai, Yingzhen and others in exchange for the key. Chen Jingji sang the verses of Sheep on the Hillside. However, judging from the content, it was just an erotic ditty that was popular on the market at the time, and it was really not interesting. So, why is Pan Jinlian so bored that she goes to great lengths to punish him to sing? Because for Pan Jinlian, this is by no means a simple matter. We have said before that in Jin Ping Mei, singing is the job of prostitutes. They are often called singers, and listening to the music itself implies the connotation of whoring. Pan Jinlian must ask Chen Jingji to sing as punishment, and she must sing more than one song. because the key has been exchanged for one song. It is still not enough to earn. Obviously, the earning here has a strong flavor of obscenity. It is not only a public flirtation with Chen Jingji in public, but also the first exchange of tokens on the basis of establishing the exchange of tokens action. Therefore, this time, although their affair has not yet developed into the substantive stage of sexual intercourse, or in other words, it has not been successful due to objective reasons. In fact, they have already carried out it passionately using their own password. 4. Questions about miscarriage. It was mid-August. Wu Yunyang revealed that she was 5 months pregnant. That is, she was pregnant in March. At that time, Simon King was obsessed with Song Huilian's beauty. And the most romantic thing for other wives and concubines was probably that the beauty garden has a spring swing. 2 pairs of jade wrists are holding each other back and forth, and 4 golden lotuses are upside down in the spring swing. We have said that this has strong sexual implications, and during that time, Wu Yunyang has been actively doing one thing: comfort Chen Jingji. Wu Yunyang, who was 5 months pregnant, listened to Meng Yulu's instigation to visit the Qiao family's house across the street, but she accidentally fell while climbing the stairs. She had a stomachache after returning home, so she listened to Mrs. Liu's advice and took medicine to have an abortion. Regarding the miscarriage, Wu Yunyang naturally could not tell Simon King, and Meng Yulu was afraid of taking responsibility and would not spread the word, so the matter became a trivial matter. But the question is, why did Wu Yunyang hide this child who was already 5 months old? The experience in the following article can prove that Wu Yunyang can hold the emperor and command the princes with the child in her belly. Could it be that the connection between this child and spring swing is not something that should be publicized? Or maybe when Wu Yunyang was burning incense on a moonlit night in chapter 21, she had already made preparations and made various assumptions. To deal with the Garden Beauty Gang and the powerful Li Ping'er, she must have a child anyway? Of course, the author didn't say that, but some small details in the text gave me a lot of guesses. Generally speaking, I don't advocate this kind of reading method similar to the Suan school, and I have never been afraid of using the worst malice to figure out the characters. However, if you read too many books, you will inevitably have some excessive associations, and my readers will just take it as such. They are just some after-dinner fun.
Ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.